Hello everyone and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage. I'm Sean.
And I'm Tennille.
And this week we are bringing you the Russian film Beloved Beauty.
Yeah.
And I guess last Russian film we were wondering what kind of movie are they going to bring us this time? And
well, we were even like, man, I don't know what to expect.
Because these last three have been so different from all the super heavy rotoscope. Mm-hmm. And guess what? They did something different again. It's their first stop motion film.
Yeah.
Which is super sweet.
To be honest, a little disappointing.
Yeah, the movie as a whole was, I would say, pretty forgettable. Mm-hmm. But hey, I'm glad they tried something different.
Yeah, it's always cool to see them try, to see anyone trying something new, and, trying to push the boundaries of animation and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. These, even though I couldn't find any legitimate confirmation that this happened, I think it's pretty safe to say that this film was definitely inspired by the works of Jiri Tranka in Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, I could definitely see that correlation there, because they very much so wanted to go after his style.
Yeah, it's very similar style. The way the puppets look is very similar to that.
But the movie still had the Russian, very much so had a Russian style of telling the story.
Right. It hit a lot of those tropes that we've brought up with the Russian stories. It was based on a fairy tale.
There was a witch or devil character, so there's magic in general. Was there a horse in this one? I believe so. Yes.
I don't remember.
Maybe not actually.
I'll have to go back through the movie.
Okay, I don't remember. Again, we said this movie is more forgettable than many of the movies we've seen so far. But to go over a brief overview of the plot. So we got a king in his castle, and his son is wanting to go out and marry a girl, but the king is like, so who is it? He's like, I met her in my dreams.
Well, through a song.
Right, a song that the housewives, what's the term for that?
Midwives?
Midwives. The midwives have been singing to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I need to find the girl in that dream. And they're like...
The song.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In the song, and I need to go find it. And the king's like, that's stupid. You're not allowed to leave until you get over this stupidness.
Right.
And then he escapes.
This girl doesn't exist.
Yeah, this girl doesn't exist. And then the prince escapes.
Yeah. Well, just immediately runs out the door. It's like, you can't stop me.
And then 5 minutes later we found out, oh no, he totally just left the castle.
Well, and then the king even brings in the midwives and
tell me the
story of this maiden.
Story, yeah.
And they do, and then he's like, well, this is bullshit.
This isn't real, and why didn't I get this story when I was growing up? Come on.
Right.
And things like that.
I was kind of hoping that they'd go for a switch there, where it was they tell him the story, and then the king's like, wow, she does sound great.
Or something like that.
Yeah, something a little sillier, but instead it was just kind of played straight.
After this, we cut to the prince in the woods, caught by bandits. Just straight up, he's already caught. He wakes up tied to a tree.
Yeah, my impression of this prince is already pretty low. He seems...
I need to go find this beautiful girl from the song. She must be my beloved beauty that I must marry. Oh.
Well, yeah, so this is one of those things where the story wants you to believe, this is a valiant, heroic prince, and that's what they tell you, and, try to show through, the camera work and stuff, that's who he is. He's determined and brave and all that.
But he just kind of comes off more wimpy.
The story itself, and, what he does portrays him more as,
a daydreaming idiot?
Yeah, whiny, entitled idiot who's just about ready to get himself killed.
So he gets captured by two, comic relief, thief characters. Mm-hmm. And, like, these two guys I found pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I spoke Russian, a lot of their dialogue would work a lot better.
I'm sure.
But it's the kind of thing where it's like, you should let me go. And the one guy's like, well, you see, we don't really let people go because we're the bad guys and we're the thieves, so we gotta kill you. And it's like, but you should let me go. Hey, should we let him go? No, we don't want to let him go. That's not what we're doing. We're thieves, we're the bad guys. Oh, you see, yeah, we can't let you go now.
Yeah, it was like the first time Russia's really tried to like heavily put in some comic relief characters, and they actually worked pretty well.
Yeah, I think it worked pretty well. And they like these characters will show up multiple times throughout the movie, and I think they work all right.
In general, I feel like this movie was trying to go for a bit of a lighter approach to telling the fairy tale.
Which I do appreciate that, because a lot of their previous films have been very serious.
I feel like with a bit of editing, this movie could actually be... And with some editing and with some English dubs so that like an American or English audience can appreciate it more. This movie would actually be really funny because like the scene we were just talking about, the king being angry with son and be like, don't go, and the son being like, you can't tell me what to do, and then if it just smash cut to him being tied to the tree.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Re-editing the movie to coming to a YouTube page soon. No, we're not doing that. So after this, the leader of these bandits comes out, and he's like a bandit prince or something. And so he's like this dark, handsome man. And he's like, I like you, so I'm going to release you. Now we're going to wrestle to see if you can leave here with your life.
Yeah.
Or something. And so they wrestle and like break every tree imaginable in the area because all these trees are like twigs. And
wow, they're so manly.
And strong.
Wow.
And then
they're totally not gay for each other.
No, totally not. Then Baba Yaga shows up because of course she does.
Yeah. Well, the prince wins, right?
No. It's a tie.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a tie. And then Baba Yaga shows up. We're like, you're breaking all my stuff. Why are you breaking my stuff? Stop breaking my woods. And then the prince is like, hey, give her a bunch of ale and it's fine. We didn't mean to and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so they give her like an entire like giant keg. And she just like, downs the whole thing.
This is fine.
It's like, okay, I'm okay with you guys. And he's like, hey, have you heard of the beloved beauty? And she's like, oh yeah, she totally like lives that way, but you're not going to be able to get to her and stuff.
And the prince just was like, okay, I'll go right there then.
And the thief prince is like, well, I guess I'm coming with you now.
Yeah, because we're equals, so we're life partners forever.
We're totally dude bros, and we're going to hang out forever, wink wonk.
Yeah.
So off they go to find this beloved beauty. And then we cut to the beloved beauty, who's just sitting there and she's singing to all the animals and stuff like that. And this is the part of the movie that it suddenly feels like we transitioned into another film.
Another Russian film.
Yeah, from this point on, it feels like we're just watching Tsarevna the Frog. Again. Except, 1, she never turns into a frog, and 2, she doesn't get married to the prince. Immediately. Yeah, right off the bat. But other than that, this character feels like she's Tsarevna the Frog. The villain, who we haven't brought up yet, feels like the villain out of that movie. He seems to have the same abilities. There's a 3-headed dragon that is in the movie. There's a very specific weird object that is used to defeat the bad guy that you have to go on this weird quest on an island to get. It's the same, like,
story beats.
I can only assume this is drawn from the same, piece of literature in the past.
Well, but see, that's the thing is, they could be based on a similar...
The same fairy tale or something?
Or it could literally be a fairy tale that somebody told that just happens to have all the same story beats, because fairy tales do that kind of stuff all the time.
It's true.
Because it was oral stories. You know, they weren't like written down most of the time
So
until
you get someone
a certain point in history. So you get somebody who's like, hey, I came up with a story with this guy who has to go and get all these magical items to save the girl. And somebody's like, ooh, I like that.
But
I'm
what
going to
if I
take that
change it?
idea. Yeah, and I'll take that and I'll change it.
What if it's...
Do my own story.
What
so
if
it'll
it's-
have all the same plot points, but...
Those slight differences.
Yeah.
Like, what if they get married in the beginning and she's cursed to be a frog?
Yeah.
Or something like that. But anyways, back to the plot synopsis. Yeah, they find Beloved Beauty, and she's just talking to all the animals. They're like, beware, people are coming for you. And she's like, I'm not worried. All of my, like, relatives are going to take care of them.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but while this is on my mind, there's a couple of times this movie does, like, a super close-up shot of, like, the prince's eyes. And it's just funny. Well, it's funny because they're these stop-motion puppets where the faces can't move at all. So, because of that, it really kind of takes you out of it because you're focused on the most stagnant part
Of the puppet. Which can't move.
Right. Like, I get the
I'm trying to
effect they're
remember-
they're trying to go for, and I kind of feel what the movie's trying to do, but at the same time, it also just takes me completely out of it, and I'm like...
Though this movie did give the characters blinking eyes every now and again.
They did, which was a nice touch.
Yeah. Either way, they found the Beloved Beauty, and they're like, we totally want to be... The prince is like, I love you and stuff, and she's like, oh dear, I guess my people are gonna have to take you out and stuff.
Right.
And this is a weird part of the movie where it turns out all of her, like, her relatives...
Family?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact term they used here. Like, something men. Family men? Countrymen?
Countrymen?
I don't know. But either way, it turns out that the people that protect her is literally the forces of nature. She's got, like, Grandma Wind and, like, Uncle Thor and...
Uncle Thor.
And, like, they make these big storms, but the two guys make it to her anyways, and she's like, oh, I guess you guys are alright.
Yeah, that just like, the tension just completely gets cut off.
She's like, oh, I guess you bested them. Alright, well...
Let's get married.
I guess we're in love now and stuff.
Yeah.
So she's sleeping in a tent that night, and the two guys are outside, and they're like, I love her. Oh yeah? Well, I love her too. Well, I guess we're going to have to fight about it again. So they fight, and while this is going on, the villain swoops in
and steals
and
her
just
away.
steals her away, and they're like, oh no! Well,
We done goofed.
we did a dummy. And
It's funny because they're all dolls.
Nice.
Thank you.
So the prince is like, I have to go after her, and the charming guy is like, don't go, it's useless, we can't beat that guy, or something like that. And the prince
Just come run away with me instead.
come on, let's just go be merry men in the woods and things. Wink wonk.
Wink wonk. Forget that girl.
And the prince is like, no, and so he runs off. And then the narrator comes in and says that the guy was so overcome with grief for being separated from the prince that he dies. Or collapses.
He collapses. He doesn't die because he comes back later.
Yeah, but like they insinuate that he's dead.
Yeah.
So then we have a couple of crows that come down, like,
We're getting some real...
oh, I love you too much, I can't be without you.
I love my bro so much. Ah.
And so he, quote, dies. And then these crows are like, oh, he's totally dead. And let's talk about how he's dead and stuff. And then the child crow goes down and immediately gets captured by this guy because he wasn't dead. And he's like, you know the weakness to the bad guy, tell me it. It's like, no, I can't. Release my son. Do it or else I'll kill your son. Ah! Oh.
Yeah, he like holds the baby crow hostage and he's like, I'm gonna axe him.
I'm going to kill him unless you tell me how to kill the other guy. And he's like, okay, fine. You get this big club thing on this island way off in the middle of nowhere that we're not actually going to show.
Yeah.
So he's like, cool, all right, you can have your son back. And he jumps in a boat with the 2 comedic relief guys, and they ride off into the ocean. We'll see them later.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we cut to the beloved beauty, who is captured by the evil guy. He's like, you are beautiful, and obviously I'm an old, gross white guy. You gotta marry me because I'm in charge here, so you gotta marry me. And she's just like, no.
Yeah.
He's like, fine, well, you'll just stay here until you agree to marry me.
Yeah.
And it turns out he also has this other chick who is dark-haired, and she's been kind of like brainwashed to not feel love or something.
Yeah. I didn't really get what was going on with her.
I think there was a little bit of translation confusion going there of like, I'm sure it made sense in the original language, but we're just not quite sure what they were going for when it got translated. But she seemed to be brainwashed, or like, she had a bad relationship in the past and
enchanted somehow,
screwed over her mind in some way. I don't know. But either way, the beloved beauty is like, I can show you how to love. Oh, really? You can show me how to love? And they get
wink wonk.
Wink wonk. And like, okay, so they're gonna be a couple or something, right? And then the bad guy comes back and like, haha, your stupid prince was stupid and I caught him already. Off screen.
Again. Like, just a smash cut there would have been brilliant.
Yep. And
if like beloved beauty would be like, I know the prince will save me, and then smash cut to
like the wall going, like the wall just like parts, and he's like right there, he's like, I tried. It's like, well, good job. And then the burly thief man comes in, and he's like, haha, I got this club, and it's gonna kill you and stuff.
And then there's a dragon, and he has to fight a dragon.
Well, the bad guy turns into the 3-headed dragon.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna kill you with this. And then they fight a while. And then he takes out 2 of the heads. But then the prince guy comes in and gets the final blow because the thief kind of like falls over at one point. But either way, they got their backs. They got their bros' backs and stuff. And then they're like, yeah, we did it. We saved the day. And the whole cave system disappears. And we're out in the woods again. It's good stuff. And so
the land has been restored.
The prince is like, oh, my beloved beauty, we love each other. And then the
2 dark-haired people lock eyes with each other, and they're
like, oh,
we look alike.
We must be in love too, obviously. That's how these movies work.
That's how love works.
So they're like, cool, I guess we'll just get married too and stuff. Even though they weren't really the correct couples there at all. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So anyway, the movie ends with them all getting married.
On the same day.
Yeah. Which just gives me... my head canon is they all got married on the same day. The movie doesn't say it, but my theory is they all actually got married to each other.
So
they're all
just
in
a
big polygamous marriage.
Yeah, because, I mean...
Because otherwise, there's nothing interesting about this film.
It's like, if you look... The way all of these characters act, no one acts like they are actually in love with the opposite sex characters.
Well, no, of course not, because this is a movie from the 50s. And being actually in love and understanding and having common interests and stuff with the opposite sex is impossible, Sean.
Of course. You're just like, oh, you're a girl that looks pretty or something. I guess we're married.
I guess we're married now.
But no, it's like the guys have great chemistry in this movie. The girls start to kindle a bit of a chemistry there.
Yeah, it's like they have a talk about how one of them does like love and the other one doesn't.
The other one had like a bad relationship with a man, and so she's like totally written off love at all. Wink wonk.
Wink wonk. And then, but they like...
The beloved beauty's like, I'll show you how to love.
Wink wonk.
Come on. So, I know the movie was not going for this super gay undertone.
But that's what we got out of it.
But that's what we got out of it. So if that sounds really interesting to you, check this movie out, honestly. Because you could totally stick it in there real easily.
Yeah, just be like, they all got married on the same day? Cool. Polygamous marriage.
Because, like, the only character who is not aware that they're super gay...
Is the prince.
Is the prince himself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's totally fine. Would be totally fine with it too.
They might need to talk him into it.
Yeah. But the other 3 characters are like, yeah, we're at least bi.
So, yeah, it was really hard finding anything to research on this film.
Mm-hmm.
There was, like, absolutely nothing. So...
No idea if this movie did well or anything.
Yeah, nothing. Nothing. And it's just interesting. I want to say I want to see them try again because the animation in this movie wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
But because we've been spoiled with Churi Tranka...
Like, it just doesn't step to that.
Right, it's just like, man, this isn't anywhere close to that.
I will say
I don't want to put it on that pedestal either because, like, obviously it's the first time they're trying it, so they did all right.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say, I do appreciate that they actually have the mixed media of having stop motion interacting, sort of, with 2D animation.
Yeah.
Because I guess, I don't know if we mentioned this, but
No, we didn't.
all the sky people are 2D animated.
Yeah, and that was almost kind of a hindrance because obviously their 2D animation's so much better than their stop motion that when you got to that segment, you're like, oh man, that's what I could be watching.
I could see a whole movie illustrated like that as compared to this okay stop motion stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But I do appreciate that they did the mixed media thing, because I'm sure trying to animate people in the clouds with dolls was probably going to be fairly difficult for them.
It might have been. Yeah, I did like the designs of the cloud people too.
Yeah, they're like super large and billowy and stuff. Mm-hmm. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know if there's really anything else to talk about with this one.
No, other than the gay undertones that obviously are not supposed to be in there.
But we just totally saw it.
That's how we
it's like,
watched it.
Neither of us were talking to each other about it, but like, we were just both sitting there like, yeah, everyone in this movie is super gay.
Yeah.
So we had a big, long discussion about that after we finished the movie.
Yeah. And that's really it.
I guess... I mean, we know what movie's coming up next.
Yeah.
We did it. We've reached another monumental film in animation history. We have made it to a second beauty. A Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
So join us back here next time for Disney's Sleeping Beauty.
Get ready.